like it. I don't like it here. You
But,
don't like it. Nobody likes it. Nobody likes it.
like the most fringy currency is Latinum.
Mm-hmm.
Bye, guys.
See you, Kizzy.
See you.
And gold is worthless because gold can be replicated.
Yeah.
But Latinum is too complex; it cannot be replicated. That's why it's so valuable. Latinum is usually in bars of gold. It's called gold pressed Latinum, and gold is used to just pretty much like it's a bar and it's hollow and it's filled with Latinum. Anyways, okay, so Morin had been in this huge heist, stealing,
He was the greatest.
a fortune of Latinum. And they all show up, and and you find out these guys that have shown up that are seen if Morin is really dead were guys that were in the heist with him. A lot of things happen, go on, whatever. But at the end of the episode, Morin had faked his death.
Just get the guys off his trail.
Yes, because Morin is a species he's a Lycepian, and they have like 3 stomachs.
Yeah.
And he had been storing all that Latinum in one of his stomachs for like 25 years. That's why he had no hair, because apparently when Morin was a young man, he had this huge, luscious, he had like this gorgeous coif of hair. But he had lost it all because he had been storing Latinum in one of his stomachs for like 25 years. It's great. I love it. Morin never speaks. The whole episode is about him and he never talks. I mean, because he's dead for 90% of it. But
So then when he speaks, it ponders off into a commercial, and then when it comes back, it's like, man.
yes,
And all that.
yes, that's the joke with Morin. Is if he'll open his mouth and then commercial. Then it comes back and they're like, man, Morin, you just put it how I exactly needed to hear it. That's the best advice I've ever gotten. And apparently Morin is like this huge ladies' man. You never see him. He just sits at the bar, drinking, just sipping.
He's just the greatest character of all time.
The Conqueror. And, Morin, that whole episode where you find all this stuff about Morin and Lycepians in general, is another reason, not one reason, another reason I hate Discovery. Because when they go into the future, the very first episode that you see Michael Burnham, she's getting attacked by some consortium or the Orions or something. But among her attackers is a Lycepian who's bald. I'm like, that person never watched that episode. Lycepians aren't bald. They have huge manes of coiffed hair. Morin just didn't because he had Latinum in his body for 25 years. That's not Morin. It's little things like that. I'm like, close. You watched an episode of Deep Space Nine and went, let's throw him in there, without any context of like how Lycepians should actually look when they're not Morin.
Yeah.
But so yeah. But good old Gork.
That Star Trek rant was brought to you by Through the Eyes of an Ensign.
Our podcast that is yet to happen.
Well, we made a few short episodes of it, short rants. Yeah. So, I'm pretty sure Zach's been talking to you about Baldur's Gate 3. Of course he has.
Yeah.
So, has he talked about like the where you can go evil the whole way and just be a complete dick to everybody? So about where you fuck the bear.
I think everybody does now.
Yeah, best part of the whole game. I can't wait to fuck that bear. Anyway, so
His pussy.
his bushy, his bear pussy. But anyway, so I guess there's a point though that the squirrel in the cutscene comes after you about something, and you have a point of either just it gives you like the squirrel starts attacking you and it's talking and cussing you out. So it gets to the point to where it gives you the option to just punch the squirrel. And that's the evil, like, dark turn, like, do I punch the squirrel? Well, you punch it pretty good and kill it because you kick it up against a fucking rock and it dies. And it made me think of the great murderer, what was the game you were playing? The great murderer of, serial
the Butcher of Bohemia.
Yeah, the Butcher of Bohemia. You could do that in this game, Heath. Just create a character where you just become a massive murderer.
Well, there's a game, and I think I've talked to you about before, but I don't remember. It's a game called This War of Mine, and it's set in this fictional Balkan city who's like, it's supposed to be like Sarajevo in the 90s. There's a lot of civil unrest and there's a civil war going on. And you play different scenarios in different houses, but essentially you are a group of people. You're in a house and you're just trying to survive. There's not like an apocalypse going on. It's just a war is going on, and
you know what game
you try to scavenge for food. You go out at night. You can always stay home if you want, but you usually send one of your group out to go and scavenge, and you get stuff to make weapons, or you can get stuff to make cigarettes and clean water, and you can barter that. You can do it one of two ways. Either you go the good route, and you sneak around and you steal what you can. You try not to steal from other people that are good people, that are down on their luck, and you make stuff and you barter. And that takes longer. That takes a lot more resources. It's a lot more difficult. If winter hits and it's a harsh winter, you literally burn through your resources so fast. Because if you don't have enough water, and if you don't keep it warm enough, you'll get pneumonia. It's a whole thing.
So it's basically medieval Oregon Trail.
Well, it's not medieval. It's just set like during the 90s or something.
Oh, okay.
Like war-torn, like Sarajevo. It's some Slavic city. Or you can go the bad route. And that's so much easier and so much more fun. Because one of the first houses you can go to, because the city map, the longer it goes on, the more you go out. And there's buildings that are held by like rebels, and there's buildings that are held by government troops. And
what kind of game is this? Is this tactical, or is it a first-person shooter? Or
no, it's odd. It's like a side scroller.
Okay.
I'll have to share it with you. It's a fun game. It really is. Like one of the first houses you go to, you can break into, is this little old couple who are in a part of the city that hasn't been touched by war too much. And if you do the good route, you go in there and you go into their basement, you take some stuff. But they have a lot of food and they have a lot of medicine upstairs, and that's stuff that is in high demand in that game. So if you go the bad route, you go upstairs and you kill the old man and you beat up the old woman and you take everything. And I'm laughing, but it's awful. And there's different scenarios that'll show up. Like during the day, one time, rebel troops will show up at your house and they'll ask about somebody. You know about so and so, one of your neighbors. They came here yesterday asking for bandages, and you can decide to not rat them out, or you can rat them out, and the soldiers will give you cigarettes, which you can barter for other stuff. And here's the kicker: if you do the bad route, your characters feel awful about it. But if you give them enough booze, they get through it. And all these characters have their different strengths and weaknesses. There's one guy who can carry the most. He can carry like 19 different items. Hold on. Hello.
This interruption
Hello.
has been brought to you by Knights of Nerlot. So that interruption.
So we're talking. Okay. Back to Murder and War.
Well, but I want to talk about your puppy shit.
No, don't. So, because there's different guys. Like one guy, he cooks really well,
Yeah.
and so he can make food stretch longer. And there's one girl that, she's really good at consoling the other people. So if you get somebody depressed, she can like cheer them up. And there's one guy's name is Boris.
Oh
And-
shit! It's Wacky Racers.
And he carries more than anybody, and he's the guy you want to go send out
Yeah.
to scavenge. Well, he's a lot stronger and he's a lot bigger. And he can carry everything. And I did one run with him and my group where I sent him out every night. He'd sleep during the day and he'd go at night. And I was doing a bad run. And I gave this man clinical depression because for almost a month straight, I'd send him out. He'd rob people. He'd kill people ruthlessly. You know, even like I would go to because there's places you go that want to barter with you. And I'm like, I don't want to barter. I just want to take your stuff. So I'd have him shoot through the door with a shotgun, terrorize his house, and take everything. And he'd shamble in at like 4 a.m. and he's depressed. So I'd liquor him up and send him to bed and send him out the next night. I gave this character PTSD, depression. He became an alcoholic, a chain smoker. But by God, that was the easiest run of that game I'd ever had.
You know what game I think you would actually be good at and enjoy? Have you ever played any of the Fire Emblems?
Fire Emblem?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, have you heard of Fire Emblem?
No.
Now, Fire Emblem is a turn-based tactical, kind of similar to like playing, not even Risk. Think of playing trying to think of like something very similar to it, like Warhammer. Think of playing like Axis and Allies. Think of playing like anything like that. Like think of did you ever play Advance Wars or anything like that, or like tanks or something like that?
Mm-mm.
So basically, like you are, like depending on which one you get, you're basically like you're in charge of an army, and trying to like you can marry your troops together, get like more troops out of them, like get stats, feed them, do stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But the cool thing about it is you have two ways of doing it. You could do it like in a run where if one of your characters die, they legit die. You cannot use them.
Yeah.
And it's a fast, like it's a challenging way to actually think strategy wise, and make it to where if you screw up, legit you may fuck yourself over. And it's like legit, like if you kill your main character, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's game over. And there's like a bunch of different ones. Like there are like they just released the newest ones on the Switch, and each character is like really intent, like really good, well written. Like you've played Smash Brothers, right?
Yeah.
Roy, Marth, Ike, they're from Fire Emblem. They're the swordsmans.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
so like it's their game. They just released a few of them, like the Fire Emblem for the Game Boy Advance on there, for like on the Game Boy app, like on there. You legit would love Fire Emblem. As much strategy games as you play, that would be your Nintendo game franchise.
Is it cartoony though?
No, it's an anime style.
Okay.
It's legit anime, and like the stories are always well written. And you can get like a shit ton of hours into it. There's they also put Advance Wars on there, which is strategy tank, like tank game that you would absolutely freaking adore. Where you take control of an actual like military